Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are reacting to our second video of the day. We just did Itsy None of My Business. This time it is one of your requests. It's maybe a month and a half old, so I apologize. I did warn that I was making a log or a queue so that I could get to all the ones that I say I'm going to get to. This one is from user Marv C. So not sure if you're still around. Hopefully you enjoy this reaction. I was a little tentative on doing this one. Of course, by the title, you already know we're going to be reacting to 르세라핌's Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's wife. The reason I was a little tentative on doing this one is because I've heard the song a lot, but I've not heard the song all the way through. You know, I've heard most of the song, and I've never seen the actual video. So because I haven't seen the video, I'm willing to do a reaction here. It still will feel genuine to me because I can analyze the video, if there's even anything to really analyze there. But also, I did a little homework on the side, breaking down the title of this song because it didn't make sense to me at first. So after we hear the song and I see what the message is about, because again, I said I've heard the song and it did just come out in English recently, and I was going to react to a video with that version because I don't know the lyrics in English. I don't know what the song's actually about. I just heard it because I have the album. Problem is, nobody yet that I could find has matched their music video up with the English version. I think there's like a performance version or something like that, but that's not the same. It's not what I wanted to react to. So yeah, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, we're going to be reacting to the original version and with subtitles, and then I will see if what I found out about the title of the song actually makes sense afterwards. So let me make sure. Okay, I had to turn subtitles on. All right, so let's head over there. We're going to get started with 르세라핌, Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's wife. Now, this is a very catchy song, by the way. Parts of it. Eh? Why the arrow? Chaewon? Madam? First off, you're way too cute, and second off, why are you firing a real arrow with an imaginary bow? I don't get it. Okay, so right out of the gate, I don't like this part. I've mentioned in my previous 르세라핌 reactions that they're like high fashion type of concept, which is what this feels like to me. I love their music, but their intros on their albums, I don't really care for that much. And this has that same type of tone. So luckily for me, the choreo saves this part because it's fun to watch. Just from what I'm seeing already. And well, we'll find out if that remains true as I keep watching this choreo. But I don't, like I said, I've heard this song before, most of it, and I've definitely heard this part, and this is the part that makes me wish I could skip in the song. Okay, body rolls there. Chaewon ripping off the hoodie, let's go. Okay, so the research I did is starting to make more sense. I am digging this choreo, though. Now this part I've seen plenty of times because the TikTok challenges are everywhere. Back that thing up, girls. Okay. There's an apple there. Okay. Okay, so we'll go over the title research later, but there's stuff here that already makes sense. Be a doll a little more. Wait, what painting was that? Hold up. I don't recognize this painting. I feel like it might have something to do with Adam and Eve, just from the title, but I don't recognize the artwork. Like Eve that day. Like, okay, so Eve is definitely the right Eve from what I was looking up. But the choreo here is really cool because, like, Eve that day, talking about the day, and again, we'll go into some of this later. If you don't care about the breakdown of the title and where it came from, feel free to skip the end of the video. But if you do want to know, it'll be after the reaction part. But this part of the choreo, like Eve that day, and then biting the apple. How can you not groove to this part of the song, though? I was waiting to see what happened at that stage of the choreo. I'm interested. There's got to be a little more to that. I'm sure it'll be coming up. Okay. This song is a lot better knowing what the lyrics are saying, other than the boom 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 part. Okay, so obviously a lot of fun. Hold on, there's more here.
르세라핌.
Okay, there's not as much more as I thought there was. Okay, so we're gonna go back. I'm gonna break down what I see based on now what I've heard and what I know from, like I said, the research that I did prior to the video. And then after that, I will show you guys the research. It's just Wikipedia stuff, but I'll explain some of that stuff. Again, most of y'all, especially by now, because I know this song is a couple of months old, most of y'all by now already know it, but this is going to be for people who either don't know it or want possibly a different interpretation, or people who just are new to the song and have the same kind of thought process that I did. Like, what the heck does that title mean? I'm not gonna lie. If you guys are familiar with American pop music, Panic at the Disco makes a lot of nonsensical titles, especially on their earlier music. And that's the kind of impression I got when I first saw this title. I was like, that makes no sense. How does it relate to the song? So anyway, that's again what's coming up. But let's go back here. I'm not really sure what the whole point of having these guys is. Chewon, please. Cuteness overload, I cannot. So already right here, you're hearing "get out." and it does sound like a man's voice. Obviously, screwed down with a synthesizer type of thing, but it's clearly a man saying "get out." I don't know how this ties into the message. And again, I don't like this part. Sorry, I'm just not into the high fashion type of sound there. When I keep referring to it as high fashion, if you've ever seen a fashion show or ever been to a fashion show, they'll play music very similar to this, not with lyrics usually, but the melody, the beat, that kind of thing, for the models that are walking down the catwalk. And it's one of the things that turns me off from watching any sort of fashion show. I like the choreo here, though. It's okay, whatever you do, I know it's all a lie. And whatever I do, when I listen to you with an obedient face, so basically, like, just blindly listening and pretending to be obedient, like, that's not okay. I'm not gonna do it. I'm the only one who can tell me what to do. I'm the only one setting my own rules. This part of the choreo reminds me of, I mean, I'm sure plenty of groups have done it, but it reminds me of Blackpink. Was it Boombaya? I don't remember which song. It was one of their earlier choreos. But, yeah, where she's going through the legs of the other members. I'ma see the forbidden. Okay, so that part right there, that one line, if nothing else, tells me that everything that I looked up is accurate. Because the theme between Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's wife is all about, like, things that are forbidden. And breaking the rule. So here you've got the apple. I wish for what's forbidden. So Eve ate of the tree, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Or was it the tree of good and evil? I don't remember the specifics. The point is, I know God in Christianity mentioned to Eve in the Garden of Eden, like, you can eat from anything here. All of this belongs to you, but not that tree over there. That one tree, you can't have anything. And then Satan, the serpent, talked to Eve when Eve was by herself. It's like, hey, like, that fruit's delicious. Like, why shouldn't you eat it? Why does it not want you to eat it? And so she wanted what was forbidden, that fruit, the apple from the tree, that was forbidden. And then that matches this part of the lyric, I wish for what's forbidden, and she wants this apple. This part right here we'll go into a little bit more. I would not have gotten this had I not done that research. So Psyche, we'll go into her story later, like I said, but for the longest time of her marriage to Cupid, or Eros, depending on if you're doing Greek or Roman version, is she's married to him, but he has said that he doesn't want her to see him, and he only comes at night. And so she can only hear him. And so in this case, she's listening, like Psyche, and he's on the other side of the wall, presumably, and she's wishing for what's forbidden. It's forbidden to lay eyes on Cupid. And then I just assume from the story that after we got the Eve and the Psyche part that this must be the correlation to Bluebeard, because it was a blue room and there's a bunch of girls in here. I'll explain that later too. But they don't talk about wishing for what's forbidden in this part. They just hit the chorus. So, very, very often, yes, girls will tell other girls to smile, sure. But very often, it's guys, men telling women, like, oh, you would be prettier if you smile. Oh, you should smile more. Like, so on and so forth. Smile, be a doll a little more. All of these stories, by the way, that we've talked about and that I'll break down a little bit more later, are men telling women what to do, like these patriarchal rules or expectations. And this line here echoes that, like, hey, smile, be a doll a little more, conceal all your emotions. You know, it's not pretty to cry, it's not feminine to be angry, all this kind of stuff. And then them responding like, no, I'm not a doll. Wait, what does this back here say? We don't dress to impress. Okay. So now that line makes more sense. The part where they're saying like, I'm a mess, and we don't dress to impress, because the society's expectation of women, especially from men to women, is that you need to look cute. You need to dress so that I like you. And they're like, no, we don't care. We're not dressing to impress you. We dress how we want. If I want to dress like a mess, it's fine, because it's me. It's my rules. Even if I frown, like if I show those emotions, that's the real me. And then they're all looking at this painting, of course. Don't want to look. These taboos all around me. Again, you know, things that society is expecting them not to do. Ties into the whole, like, I want what's forbidden. This motion right here, she's literally hiding her gaze. I don't know if that is a specific reference to Psyche, because we'll find out later. That's essentially what she's doing. Or if this is a metaphor for, like, all of the message, where it's talking about, you know, like, wanting what's forbidden, but these societal expectations, like, you're not going to do this because I told you not to. And then we already broke down that choreo where she's going ahead and eating that fruit, even though she was told not to. I was trying to see what some of the spray paint graffiti said. So this is like an imaginary chain here. This line of the girls, and this is representative, we're gonna see in a minute, of them breaking that chain, breaking out of those expectations. Even if this is a downfall, like, even if this is a mistake, it's my mistake to make, or in this case, it's our mistake to make because we fall. That's a really cool shot, by the way. It's like the Michael Jackson shot, except Michael Jackson had little, like, heel lifts. Him and his dancers did. Now he could do it, and of course this is also helped by the camera. Chaewon couldn't do it though. She's either Like, you can tell she's not as comfortable with this move. Her heels aren't even off the ground yet. Is this Unche? Yeah, she's not as comfortable either, but she's got more forward lean. Chaewon is leaning more at the waist, whereas Unche is actually like leaning the whole body. I think what these two are doing, though, especially Chaewon, is like standing on the tiptoes and like lifting her foot out of the shoe a little bit, as opposed to actually like elevating the heel. And then it's helped by the camera trick. She comes up a little bit, and you can tell like they cut it because it's so short. If they were all capable of holding that for an extended time, they probably would have flexed that by holding the shot a little longer. I feel like Chaewon and Unche, especially Chaewon, are about to lose their balance like almost immediately, so they just cut it right there. Speaking of cutting, cutting that chain. And then this back here, I won't hide myself. Yeah, girls want to have fun. They don't want to be locked up inside your own expectations all the time. Girls don't exist just for... it's kind of like society's view of children back in the old days, where, you know, like the children were to be seen, not heard. There were very specific expectations that kids were supposed to follow. Like when the man comes home from work, the child should already be fed and like well behaved, with no regard to how the mom was during the day. In the same type of way, society has certain expectations of women, and this song is all about saying like, hey, like, we don't exist to meet your expectations. We're real people. We have our own thoughts, feelings, and things that we want to do, and things that we're gonna do whether you tell us that we're allowed to or not. I love you, Chaewon. And then this very end shot, actually, I didn't catch this at the first time, but this is a cool ending. So back here, it's again saying, I won't hide myself. And not only is she no longer hiding herself, like hiding her gaze, she has moved her hand down and it's below the eye level now. She's also facing the camera instead of away from it. And to drive the point home, she's no longer in the dark. The spotlight is on her.
르세라핌.
All right. So that was Eve, Psyche, and the Bluebeard's wife. Now, I mentioned that I'm going to go through some of like the title itself. I'll show you guys the wiki pages. I'm not going to insult your intelligence and read all of it, but the gist of each part of the story and how it relates to the song. So if you don't want to hear any of that, then this right here is pretty much your stopping point. If you enjoyed the reaction, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell to enable your notifications to see when future content goes live. If you do want to stick around, though, let's head back over. Alright, so this first one is Eve. And, of course, this is from Christianity. Eve was created by God alongside Adam. So there was man and woman, Garden of Eden. And this part is her expulsion from Eden. And why did she get expelled from Eden? It's because, as I mentioned during the breakdown, she was given specific instruction, both her and Adam, to not eat from that tree. There was one tree, and I can't remember if it was good and evil or knowledge. I want to say it was knowledge, but I don't know. And I don't see that it's shown here either. So it is what it is. But anyway, there's a serpent who is Satan in animal form at this point. And for those of you who are somehow not really that familiar with Christianity, Satan is like the antithesis to God. Like, God is the all-powerful creator, and Satan is, essentially the most evil force, the destroyer, that kind of thing. Um, so, anyway, Satan as a serpent essentially talks to Eve and's like, why, why would God hide that from you unless it was like the best stuff, essentially? And so, again, it's forbidden by a man, as we've broken down in the song, like these patriarch type of themes here, these rules. That's forbidden because I said so. Eve is like, yeah, actually. And not only does she eat it, but this is actually the story of the original sin of man. She eats it and she sort of tricks, Adam, her husband, into eating it. And so now they've both gone against the word of God. So, as this relates to the song, again, it's you want what's forbidden. And even if it's a mistake, it's your mistake to make. All right. Now we go on to Psyche. Psyche was a mortal who apparently was so beautiful that she rivaled the beauty of the goddess of love and beauty, Aphrodite, or Venus, depending on Greek or Roman version. So, Aphrodite has a son, Cupid. And Aphrodite's temples are going without tributes because more people are worshiping Psyche, even though she's mortal. And so this pisses Aphrodite off. She tells her son, and most of you probably know Cupid, but in the interest of this full breakdown, Cupid has the ability to make people fall in love. And so Aphrodite, Cupid's mom, tells Cupid, make her fall in love with a beast. Cupid's like, I bet. So Cupid goes and, excuse me, hits her with an arrow while she's sleeping. And before he can, hit the beast, he accidentally hits himself with an arrow. Like he wounds himself on one of the arrows. And so he falls in love with her too. So we have that right here. Aphrodite sent her son Eros, make the girl fall in love with a vile, hideous monster. He could make anyone fall in love with the strike of his arrows. So she couldn't see him because he's invisible, because he's a god. But he accidentally wounded himself, and so he fell in love with her. She didn't fall in love with him right away because she couldn't see him. She still has to be able to see the target, so to speak. Now, it's actually funny that we're breaking this down after New Jeans, because one of my other reactions with New Jeans recently with Cool With You is literally a music video version of this story. So whether you like New Jeans or not, if you want to see this story enacted in a music video, I'll put that at the end as well. Anyway, so her sisters are super jealous, but they go off, they marry kings, it's fine. And nobody wants to marry Psyche, though, because she's so pretty. All the men are intimidated. They're like, I'd rather just worship her. I don't want to ask for her hand in marriage. So her dad gets distraught, takes her to the Oracle. Oracle says she's going to marry a beast. You should just take her up to this mountain and let her die. So he did, and she didn't die, though, because Cupid caught her as she was jumping, if I read that part right. Oh wait, it wasn't Cupid. It was Zephyrus. Zephyrus? I don't know how, whatever. Anyway, Greek Lord of West Wind carried her away and moved her to a place where she went to a deep sleep. And then she woke up in this palace of gold and gems and everything. And Cupid, the invisible voice here, told her to make herself at home. Now, again, she's not in love yet. She can't see him. She doesn't know him. But over time, he has basically gotten her to fall in love with him anyway. He visited only at night, forbidding her, and this is the key part as it relates to the song, to look upon his face or even learn his name. saying it was better for her to love him as an equal than to see him something godly. Okay, so this is again a story of a man telling a woman what to do, what not to do, and as it relates to the song, these girls want to break that rule. Like it might be a mistake, but they are willing to take that chance. So the rest of that story goes basically her sisters tricked Psyche into telling them about who he was, and she does in fact break the rule. Um, just like Eve broke the rule about eating the fruit, Psyche breaks the rule. She looks upon him through a knife while holding a lantern. Cupid actually gets injured from the wax from the lantern and flies off. And we don't really need to break down the rest of it. There's more to this myth, but that's the important part as it relates to the actual song. This one does actually get a happy ending, though, because at the very end, she completes a bunch of trials with the help of other gods and becomes a god herself and is allowed to actually marry Cupid. And then a cool little side note, they have a kid, which is actually mentioned down here. Hedone, I think is how you pronounce that. Anyway, that's where we get the word for hedonistic, like taking pleasure in like these carnal pleasures of the flesh and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. Just a interesting side note. Okay, now on to the third part, Bluebeard. This is a French folk tale, and this was the part that I knew the least about before I did any of this lookup. I knew about Eve already. Psyche, I knew the story, but I didn't know how it pertained to the song. And now that I've heard the song, I do know how it pertains. And also, of course, now that I've heard the song, this one makes sense. So essentially, Bluebeard, wealthy aristocrat from what I understand, has married all these beautiful women, and then they disappear. So now he marries another one, and he is going away. I don't know if he went out of the country or went on some conquest. I don't know. It's probably in here somewhere. I didn't read all of this. But he gave her, yeah, so he's leaving for the country. Okay, so he's leaving his estate. He's going to the countryside, whatever. And he gives the keys to his new wife and says, you can open any room except this one. Same thing as Eve. Like, you can eat from any tree except this one. Same thing with Psyche. Like, you can look at everything in here except me. So she's allowed to open any room, each of them containing his riches, except for that one room he strictly forbids her, again, a man telling a woman, you're not allowed to do this, there will be punishment. He goes away, leaves the keys with her. And so she throws a party, and everybody wants to know, especially her, wants to know what that secret room holds. And so, and actually this is a little different than what I remember. I remember it being like everybody wanted to see, but apparently this says like she is overcome with the desire and sneaks away from the party. Okay, either way, the point is she wanted what was forbidden. She goes down to that room and opens it and finds it flooded with blood and murdered corpses of all the previous wives that Bluebeard had had. And so now she's afraid that she's going to get killed. And Bluebeard comes back unexpectedly and finds the bloody key because looks like, okay, because it's a folktale, the key is magic. Of course it is. And it's got a blood stain. It can't be removed. So he sees the bloody stain and he's pissed, threatens to kill her. But she asks for one last prayer with her sister. And then her brothers come and kill Bluebeard. And she inherits the castle and the fortune anyway. Point is, she could have died. But, and those would have been the consequences. But that one again had a happy ending at the very end. So the song about all these expectations that are put on you, and in the music world and entertainment in general, a lot of these expectations do come from men, regardless of whether they're your manager, your producer, your fans, whatever, a lot of these expectations are put on you by men. So you have 3 different stories of women who were specifically told not to do something or there would be consequences, and they chose to do it anyway. And so in the song, I wish for what's forbidden. I know these things are forbidden, but it's my mistake to make. And so they do it anyway. And the song, they are going to do things the way they want to do. You're not going to tell them how to live, kind of thing. There are consequences, but they're willing to deal with that. So, all right. So that was the kind of like additional breakdown of the title of the song, because again, I thought this was just a very nonsensical title, but after hearing the song and actually seeing the lyrics, what they're translated to, let me back up actually. And I mentioned this earlier in the video too, but I had heard the song multiple times, but I didn't know what the lyrics meant. And I had never seen the video. So now that I've seen the video and I know what the translated lyrics mean, the title makes so much more sense. And now filling in the gaps with what I researched a little bit, it's actually a really cool message. But more interesting than the message is the fact that they gave you a song where you actually had to do some work. If you didn't know these stories already, none of this made sense. Okay, you can get the gist of the song with I wish for what's forbidden and I'm not going to be a doll, that kind of thing. But you don't get the full complexity of this song unless you either have previous knowledge or you put in actual work to go look and see what some of this is. And that may not be for everyone. I enjoyed it because I enjoy learning things like that. Other people might just want to enjoy the dang song. So let me know if you guys actually knew some of this beforehand, if you knew all of it, or if you had to go look it up, or if you had never even heard it and it didn't make sense until you maybe saw this video or another person's reaction. But anyway, I mentioned this earlier for those who didn't want the title breakdown, but this is for everybody who stuck around. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out and watching this one. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, hit the bell to enable your notifications to see when content goes live. And until next time, everybody, take care.